Hello and welcome back to another hopefully extremely efficient and productive, that was the word I was searching for, productive session for Git-YAML. It's Byron speaking. Git-YAML, serde-yaml. Shoo, relax, Sebastian. It will all be fine. Basically, I really tried to stay away from that code during the weekend, even though I realized that it's a new month. And some tasks, there was some sort of the Damocles that was flying over my head is now gone, which is namely the taxes. They are finished, so in a way I can feel free and light again in order to tackle this problem that shouldn't be too hard to solve after all. So, document indicator start is the unit test we are looking at. In a way, it's also a test for null. Probably you shouldn't mix these concepts so much, but on the other hand, it kind of happened. And we will refactor this a lot anyway, because lots of this code can be repetitive in the moment we start dealing with other non-string scalars like floats, integers, booleans maybe, and so on. Something I would like to do just to get started is to add a mode that says that we want to have plain values. So scalar value details style should be plain. And the tags I would like to enforce. So I think that is done here as well, huh? How's it called? Explicit tag should be true. And now this is something we should expect here. So just a plain null, but a tag. And in order to make the rest of the stuff work as before, we want to set this to false again right after. And that should be that. Let's see if that actually works as expected. Hell yeah, it does. Okay, good. That was a simple thing, simple start. There is still this big question floating in my head. Oh, where are we? Yeah, that's just the settings here that we define. Maybe I want to, the stuff that does something, maybe I want to bring it up so that the settings, wow, it's actually more than I thought. Lots of code that is actually not reviewed yet, so that's basically just some code to escape things for JSON and our own ones here in code ASCII to deal with multi-byte encodings like UTF-16, UTF-32, which we also don't do yet. There's something we could do at any time, so I'm not worried about that at all. Also, the escaping, we would only, we have basically in our implementation here, we have space for this already. Where is it? Where is our implementation? Begin document, end document. Here, in code scalar. So here we have space already to do what we have to do. So we have to do escaping of strings if the type is a string. This is here. And we will have to do folding of strings. But before I even think about tackling this, I'd like to think about white space, because white space is still something we kind of hard code right now. The only white space we do hard code or deal with is the obviously required spaces between the tokens, and we use some sort of prefix style, always. Because that way we are not depending on anything that might come, so we don't have to peek into the future, which we can't really, because we can't easily do, because we are just being called. So for each thing that should happen, we get a call, and this is how we have to react. So peeking would mean we have to remember our call and kind of analyze that the next time something happens. And if you want to go down that path, then you're in for a world of pain, because that makes everything so much more complicated. So we don't do that, especially for serialization. I'm totally willing to simplify my life here, and and try to keep it as simple as possible, because serialization should be possible. However, I would still like to have some sort of control, a little bit of control at least, over the white space. So something very useful here is, again, this thing. Because I don't really, you could read the specs to learn about white space, but you can also just try it out. So look at that. It doesn't, so white space is significant. So these spaces, I think there is nothing we can say about it. I think this could be a tab as well, if I am able to make a tab here. So is this a tab character now? Huh. That might be a tab now. Nah, not so much. Let's get plain syntax. So this definitely is a tab now. And now I should be able to put it in here. That was why I did that. Oh, look at that. That cannot start any token. Okay. So that answers the questions. Tabs are nothing we want to use here. So yes, I think we can hard code spaces, but look at that. So we can have a new line here. We can have a new line here, and it will all be the same. So we could say, well, new line after document start. We could also say new line after tag. And this new line kind of replaces a space, right? This is how the system works. So whenever there is a new line, it's for him, much like a space there. And yeah, I wonder to what extent we can use that. Right now, I don't know. Yeah. So what to do? We could get, oh no, what did I do? No. We could get ahead of ourselves. Where is my encode scalar? Here it is. We could get ahead of ourselves and try to implement all these non-string types, right? But we could also try to maybe get some more complex data type going so that we can work with something like a list of stuff. Look at that, same here, right? So it's either a space, a new line, or it's a space. But that's how that works. And right now, this is parsed just as a string. Interesting. Well, so for the lexer, the token separators are super important. I'm just trying to, think of deserializing this as well. And this really shows that the lexer will parse tokens only if they're separated by new line or space. A new line for him is like a space. It doesn't care. And that's the interesting part. Good. Anyway, we would want to have something like this. First, can I have a block thingy here? No. Sequence entries are not allowed here. Okay, interesting. So here we have the context sensitivity at work, right? So this probably wants to tell us that the block mode is only allowed on its own line with proper indentation. And here the initial indentation also doesn't matter. What the heck? It seems it doesn't even parse this anymore, huh? So I'd say this is a bug in the Python parser, because it can't just say, well, I don't care about that, right? It can't just leave the values there. That doesn't work. Yeah, so as long as they're on the same indentation level, we are fine. Yeah, so in block mode, I see. We have to, white space is super relevant and new lines are super relevant. So there we actually have no choice. If we do anything, if we want to serialize a list and do so on block mode, then that's what we would do. Let's try a list with nulls here. So this is something sufficiently simple, and with that we could try to work on block mode and flow mode for lists, right? The list is the next simple, more complex structure that I can imagine. And the reason that I don't want to go ahead with floats and numbers is that they should work equivalent to null. To me, they're exactly the same. The only differentiation I make here is whether or not I'm in string or I am seeing a string or not, because strings need special escaping just due to the fact that they could contain characters that do not fit into the ASCII range, right? So let's try this. Let's have a test that says sequence. So here we shall test a simple standard sequence. So that will give me a sequence in YAML mode, so it's block style, right? And the value, oh yeah, let's have a value here. The value shall be, let v be, yeah, let's just try a, yeah, let's put in, yeah, damn it, let's put in a none of type u32, because it doesn't care after all. Like this, huh? That's how that would work. And this should provide it with the correct type. Does that work? Does that compile? Oh, yeah. It's actually option u32 none. That's the constructor that we are calling here. And we explicitly parameterize this option here to be u32. So this does work, but usually I get it wrong the first time. But then I try a few things, and then at the end it works. But it shouldn't be a parameter on this one, no? Because that's the constructor, kind of. Expected function. Huh. Give me, I did that. I will make it work again. Expected function found option user32. Maybe like this, because I don't have to call it. Oh yeah, there we go. Interesting. So this is, are you sure I can't do it like this? Maybe it's the call that was kind of confusing it. Okay. Interesting. So it's interesting. So the variant carries the type parameters, not the name. There's more like a namespace here, right? That's interesting. I didn't really see it that way, but that's how it must be then. Cool. So now we have an array with one entry here, and the value, yeah, an array with one entry. And now we have a slice. So now we degenerate a little bit of information, or put it behind a pointer. And this is a value we could now try to serialize. And the document start style we didn't set, so we don't have that at all. Because we are in YAML mode, I would expect something like this here. And I would even go as far and say, well, let's have at least 2 of these. The cool thing is the first argument sets the tone, sets the type, and now we can just say none. And the type inference will do the rest for us. So, what do we get? Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. So, there are 2 things now. Now we need some more context information. Look, the default style is Yeah. So what we see here is the mapping style. Mapping details null style, see? And right now it says, well, I don't care what my context is. Whatever happens, I will hide my value or hide my entry. And this is invalid if you have multiple values. So this kind of works, right? So this is actually valid. Interesting. This is actually valid. But it's not valid in. This is not valid in block. Not in block mode. In flow mode. So here, this is not valid. But this is exactly what we generate right now, except that we put new lines in there apparently, which I don't know. This seems to be default behavior because it's kind of in pretty print mode, and we didn't adjust the code yet that does that at all. But we will get there. So we need more information. So yeah, by default, I think we hide null. So this is what we would expect, right? /n and a space. The space is. Would we have a space there? Do we need a space? I don't think we need a space. Let's try it here. Bada boom, bada boom. See? So no space there. It's really just that. And I'm not sure about the new line. We are in prefix mode, therefore the new line will be prefixed here, but not be there as a suffix. So no, this is just fine. We might add some options that will add a new line at the end of the document, right, like that. But for now we don't have that, and it's something that can easily be added. I'm not sure if this is super relevant anyway, but we could consider having such an option. So that's very nice. So now we need more context information. For instance, we have some functions that say open here. And so I'm also thinking about nesting. Does it matter? Probably not. So we basically constantly change our state. And we could say, well, what's our state? Our state will only be one of 2 or 3, basically. We have a structure, right? And the structure is either none or document. Then we or a scalar. If we are in scalar mode, then we get something like this, where we really just have one null value, which is like that. And obviously we can create that because we can hide values or hide entries. I'm just looking at the documentation, if this makes sense. Because right now, with that kind of style, I know it's kind of orthogonal. Well, it's not orthogonal because we either have a mapping somewhere or we have a lone null. And if there are in an entry, no, it's all good. It's all good. I think that's how we implement it right now. That kind of makes sense. So you can say, well, I want to hide entire entries, but this would also kind of include the hide value. Yeah, so that's really what I was trying to get at here. Yeah, so now about our internal state. We need to keep track of that so that now this guy can say, well, if we are in a sequence and if the style is block, and we only have one way to set the style right now, right? Maybe I want to look at this here. mapping details, sequence details. So yeah, there's no mix and match right now. It's either all or nothing. This is something that is also some sort of different to something like this. Because in this, the serde-yaml serializer, for instance, it will gladly put nested or use flow mode for nested mappings. And this is something that we currently wouldn't do. We would either do all in block mode or all in flow mode. And there is no notion that would allow us to not do that. No, there is no such thing. And I wonder if you should have something like it or not. Personally, I never liked mixing this too much, to be honest. I did not like that. Huh. So yeah, let's not do it then. Because it's kind of a special case, and I don't know if... I don't think that the spec says anything about that. The spec just gives you general information about it. But, you know, besides that... it doesn't care. Good. So that's kind of serde-yaml special handling that we just don't implement. Unfortunately, you can't even disable this kind of behavior in serde-yaml, not without affecting everything. So that kind of is annoying, and we don't want to write annoying software. We want to be consistent. Maybe we will be annoying, but we will at least be annoyingly consistent. Or annoying in a consistent fashion. All right, let's set the state now, because that is something I will require. That way the null thing can at least check, okay, if I'm in a flow style sequence, then I will always print myself. That's the thing. So that's a local enum. Oops. The type of structure we are currently in. And this is more, in a way, this is more like a stack, right? Because if we have nested structures, then you know, if we close a structure, like close a mapping, yeah, why not? Then we go back to the previous one that we have seen, which could be a list, because the mapping was contained in a list. And in that moment, we want to keep this kind of information. So I guess this open should be taking a kind of structure, and what we do is do our indentation stuff or whatnot. You know, we could even we need a stack. That's what I'm saying. We need a stack of structure kinds to show what kind of structure we are in. And if the first structure is a scalar, then I don't think we will ever get anything else. Then we are kind of preset to only show a single or have a single value there. Yeah, structure kind, scalar, or this basically means we can only have a single scalar in the entire document. We are looking at a sequence. So here we get with sequence. No. And the last one within a mapping. That is that. And now we need a stack of structures here to keep track of where we are in. Yeah, so let's rethink that. The JSON implementation doesn't care about that, doesn't need to maintain a stack, because it just opens and closes the structures at will. But now our format depends on the context, right? YAML is a highly context-dependent thing, so we need to keep track of that. And yeah, in order to do that correctly, there is no other way to do it unless we have to do we have a stack. And as we are just called one after another, you know, the calling code is recursive, but we don't see that recursion unless we track it ourselves, because we just get plain calls basically. So yeah, let's have that. So that's our, let's call it just a stack. And if we need a more complex data type at some point, we will just change it in here. For now, I only see a structure kind. And then we have a serializer with options, stack is vec new, and there we are. That is that. We have a stack now, and now we can look at this open and close stuff. And yeah, open. Yeah, you know what? I think if we have nothing on the stack, there's always a case that we have to deal with now. Then it's implied to be scalar, so we don't need that. Yeah, we will never open a scalar, right? So that kind of interface, or having that, makes no sense. So what kind of thing are we opening? Structure kind. And yeah, we increase our indentation level. Then the structure kind should now have some functionality that says open character and close character. And this is just ASCII for us, and we currently differentiate between byte strings and Unicode encoded strings. So in order to get this stuff right, I think we just want to implement this here. So sequence in flow mode, right? This is depending on that. The calling code needs to verify this after all. And I wonder, should I have a function that takes, so if I want to open this thing, in the moment, you know what? I think in the moment I want to open this, I need a new line in block mode. Yeah, let's do this. In block mode, I always need a new line, right? So that doesn't work, but that does work. In flow mode, I don't need a new line, but I need the bracket to open this thing and to close it. That's how that works. So yes, I think it would be useful to have something like it. And we will just change this thing as we see fit. So here we have a kind as well. Structure kind. And yeah. And yeah, let's have a function that returns our byte string here that we wanna print. And yeah, let's do it. Oh, and we also need information about the line break. Damn. And considering we need all this option stuff, we might wanna implement this functionality on our serializer, because he has this information. So we are just returning something And we return a static byte string because all this can be kind of hard. Oh no, wait. Can it be hard-coded? I think it can be because the line break will be able to return a static thing of itself. And yeah, I think that's how we can deal with it. So we return something static. Open. So considering that we only need it here, I think we might as well just implement this here, right? So we don't need a separate function for this, even though we could possibly have one. So what's the character going to be? Self opts borrow. Yeah, we should match on the structure kind, which is either structure kind sequence or structure kind mapping. So let's look at the sequence mode. We might even panic here just to get it out of our way. So first of all, I think we should return something. We should return the string to print without the indentation stuff. The indentation we don't handle right now, even though we would have to do that, I think, at some point. But right now I don't want to get into that. So let's, how do I call it? Let openStr be this. So now the write all should be encode ASCII. Yeah. Should be an encode ASCII something. Encode ASCII self writer. Then we have an encoding self borrow format encoding. I hope that, yeah, that should work, I think. That works in this case. And we just write our openstr. Voila. And now, again, we have to check our sequence options. Match self opts borrow sequence details. Style, right? There's always a good resource here because here we see the structure explicitly. So the style can be a structure style block or a structure style flow pub. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Pub enum structure style. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing contained in there. That's good. So let's do it. Structure style block. And in block mode, we want to return the line break here. The line break as ASCII. And maybe in order to trigger that, we shall be explicit about this so that our asref calls here will do the right thing. So it's format line break, I think. And it's a read-only borrow too, so we should be able to just do this here without being in fear of the borrow checker. And yeah, we don't have a mutable borrow on self right now. I mean, we have it, but we don't use it. So I think we should be good here. So self opts format line break as ref. This should yield what we need, because in block mode we definitely need a new line. Let's note it here. In block mode we always start on a new line. I think this is actually false. because here we need a new line. But if we would be in a mapping, there we also need a new line. Good. We always need a new line. I think that's the point here. That is that. Good. Yeah, I would go with that. And the line break will be whatever we have configured, so that's pretty cool. Quite a lot of code to get there, but yeah, that's how it is. It's our options, nothing we could hard code here anymore. So structure, style, flow is basically just hard coded bracket open, right? We are opening stuff, so that is that. Voila. Are we complete? Yes, we are complete. So it's either that or that. Lifetimes are the same. Type is correct. So this could already do something for us if it compiles. Let's see. Oops. Where's that? Oh, true. We are calling open here and pass. Oh no, wait. Yeah, we might just hide this, and now we have to fix all the open calls, obviously. So that is structure, kind, mapping. We want to open. Structure, kind. Oh yeah, and we have to manipulate our stack, by the way, not to forget. Self, stack, push, kind. Yeah, damn it. Now we wanna copy it. Let's make it clonable as well. I will do this in a moment. So here we go with sequence. Do we open it even more? Yeah. Structure, kind, mapping. Yeah. So here apparently an enum. We don't keep the actual type of the enumeration around, so that really very much depends on the way we deserialize it later, because the type information comes from the target type, and then we try to map whatever we get in YAML to the target type. So that's how that works. I don't think it's a problem here, but if you wanted, we could obviously put a tag there that says which enumeration it actually is, but we will only do that once we are once we are dealing with the deserialization. I just look ahead here. So structure, kind, mapping, and there we go. We have fixed it all. And the cloning still needs to be added here. Derive, clone. Thank you very much. That's all we need for now. It's internal, so debugging shall not be required. Oh, whoa. We are missing a little semicolon here. Oops. Yeah. I've adjusted the signature already and forgot about it. Close. So that is structure, kind, mapping. Structure, kind, sequence. Structure, kind, mapping. Mapping. Yep. And we are done. Not all control path return a value. True. Close is, now that we've hidden the line here, I might just want to make it an OK unit, and we're done. Cool. So now, obviously we don't write out anything. We have the new line here, and yeah, still we now have to see our actual. Oh yeah, let's pop the structure here now. Close. Actually, the close thing, we don't need the structure kind. The kind is something we get by popping. We will just unwrap on this value because these push and pop calls should always match. So is self stack pop unwrap, and this guy we don't need anymore. So yes, let's change the signature again. Close. And actually we can do better here. We can do pop expect. Should not pop. Yeah, calls to open and close must match exactly. This is what we expect here. And that should even yield a better error message in case something goes wrong. And I wonder if that will look better. Maybe it does. Maybe it kind of makes it more obvious what we are doing here. Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's do it. This is to do write actual value. Right now we don't do it. I just want this to work. I think I will call it a session and do the rest later, just because we are already kind of on the 40-minute mark here, which is long enough. So yeah, let's make a commit. We have restructured a little bit here. Feature sequence handling part, yes, sequence handling infrastructure. We keep the current structure on a stack as the serialization of scalars depends on it. So, yeah, even though the open code was adjusted, the encode scalar method still needs some work. This therefore is an intermediate commit. Additionally, we moved all serialization related code directly below the serializer code. Skip CI. That's just the first part. So, thanks for watching and have a good day.